AI will not stop your bad hires. Used alone, it makes more of them. Here's the math nobody at these software booths wants to talk about. A bad hire costs you about $56,000 to clean up, and the AI your vendor sold you, it confidently picks wrong every time because you never told it what good actually means. So in the next 12 minutes, here's exactly what we're covering. 1. Why predictive hiring AI is quietly making mishires worse, not better. 2. The 5 things you have to define before any AI can predict anything useful. And 3. The one move that lets you stop gambling on a prediction altogether. Let's go. I'm Kevin. I work with Sulum. If you're curious whether a VSA fits your business, the link's in the description. It's just a conversation. Let's talk about why this matters right now in 2026 and not 2 years ago. 67% of companies now use AI somewhere in recruiting. 58% use it to screen resumes before a human ever sees them. 75% plan to be using it by 2027. So this isn't a fringe experiment anymore. It's the default. And the vendors selling it? They'll tell you it predicts performance. They'll tell you it cuts your time to hire by a third. Sounds great, right? Here's the part they leave off the slide deck. Gartner looked at companies running AI-only hiring, no structured human process backing it up. Mishire rates were 19% higher than companies that paired AI with a real, structured human interview. 19% higher, not lower, higher. Meanwhile, the hybrid approach got 40% faster hiring, AI plus a documented human process. It also got 25% better first-year retention. Same tool, wildly different outcome. The difference wasn't the software, it was whether a human had actually defined the target first. And it gets worse than just wasted money. A 2025 Stanford study found that AI screeners rated older candidates and male candidates higher from identical resumes. Identical. Same experience, same skills, different name and different birth year. Different score. Over half of applicants today get rejected with 0 human contact. Nobody at your company even looked. Think about that for a second. You built a company because you were tired of bureaucracy making dumb calls. Now, a black box is making the dumbest call of all. It's doing that in your name, thousands of times a month, and you don't even see the rejections happen. New York now has a hiring AI audit law with fines running $500 to $1,500 per violation, and a federal age discrimination case against a major hiring AI vendor just got cleared to proceed. This isn't theoretical risk anymore, it's active. So why does this keep happening? Simple. Garbage in, garbage out, spelled out plainly. Most job posts are copy-paste templates. Most resumes list duties, not outcomes. And candidates are now using AI to write those resumes and AI to practice for the AI interview. You've got a machine guessing based on other machines' guesses. Nobody defined what good looks like at any point in that chain. That's the real problem. AI can only predict against a target you gave it. If the role was never documented, the AI isn't predicting anything. It's automating your gut feeling and dressing it up in a dashboard. Same bias, same blind spots, just faster and now with a lawsuit attached. Here's where most owners get stuck, and here's the way out before we even get to the 5 fixes. The person who solves this has a specific name, a VSA. A virtual systems architect, not a virtual assistant, not a task taker. A VSA documents the process, builds the system, and runs it. Here's the reframe that matters. You don't have to predict a good hire, not if you vet rigorously and the systems are already documented before day 1. That's the whole game. Prediction is a guess wearing a lab coat. Vetting is proof. Sulum's VSAs pass a 6-tier filter. 3 out of 100 applicants get through. 3. That's the vetting the AI promises and can't deliver. The filtering already happened before you ever hit post job. Keep that picture in your head because everything I'm about to walk you through is one of 5 things you need to define. You either build each one yourself or someone who already does this for a living builds it for you. Let's start with number 1, a documented role with an outcome scorecard. Most job descriptions are a list of duties, answers phones, manages calendar, handles social media. That's not a target, that's a chore list, and you cannot predict against a chore list. Here's what actually works. Define good as measurable outcomes, not a resume, not a degree, not years of experience. Outcomes: revenue held, retention improved, error rate reduced. Pick 3 to 5 outcomes for the role, then write behavioral anchors for each one. So when one interviewer says that's a 4 out of 5, it means the same thing to everyone. 1 page, that's the whole document, not 40. 1. And here's the test for whether you actually did it right. Hand that page to 3 different people in your company. Ask them to score the same past hire against it. If they land on wildly different numbers, your anchors are still too fuzzy. Tighten the language until 3 people looking at the same evidence land in the same neighborhood. Doing this yourself? Grab a simple template and block out 90 minutes. Write the outcome scorecard before you write a single line of the job post. Expect a few hours to draft it well, then about 30 minutes a quarter to refine the anchors as you learn what predicts success. The honest friction point: founders skip this step because it feels slow. Then they wonder why every hire feels like a coin flip. That is doable. The question is whether you want to be the one running it every week. Number 2. A real skills test, an actual work sample. Not a resume, not a conversation about what someone claims they can do. A task, a simulation, something that mirrors the actual job. If you're hiring someone to write client emails, have them write one. If you're hiring for scheduling, hand them a messy calendar and see what they do with it. Here's why this beats an interview every time. Work samples are harder to game than conversation. An AI can help someone sound confident in an interview. It's a lot harder for a canned answer to fake a real deliverable under a deadline. And you'll learn things a resume could never tell you. Did they ask a clarifying question before diving in, or did they guess? Did they check their own work? Those hobbits show up in a 30-minute task. They almost never show up in a polished cover letter. To build this yourself, pick one task that mirrors a real week in the role. Rate clear instructions and set a time limit. Score it against the outcome scorecard from step 1. Plan on a few hours to design the test properly. Then real time to grade every submission by hand every time you hire. The friction point? Good candidates sometimes bail when a test feels like unpaid work. Keep it short and respect their time. That is doable. The question is whether you want to be the one running it every week. Real quick, before we get to number 3, I want to talk to the people who are already feeling the weight of all this. If what we've been talking about sounds like your situation, there's a link in the description to book a free call with my team. No pitch, we just talk about your business, what's not working, and whether a VSA is actually the right fit. If it's not, we'll tell you that too. Number 3, a structured, documented interview process. This is the one most owners think they already have, and almost nobody does. A structured interview means the same questions, asked in the same order. Every interviewer scores independently before anyone compares notes. No, so what did you think in the hallway first? Score it, then talk. Why does this matter so much? Structured interviews predict job performance more than twice as well as unstructured ones. 0.42 versus 0.19 on the validity scale researchers use. That's not a small edge. That's the difference between a coin flip and an actual signal. Building this yourself means writing 5 to 8 fixed questions tied to your outcome scorecard. Build a simple scoring sheet, train whoever's interviewing to score alone first. Budget a few hours to write it once, then a short prep pass before every round of hiring. That keeps nobody drifting back to freestyle chit-chat. The friction point? It feels stiff at first, almost robotic. Interviewers will want to go rogue. Don't let them. That is doable. The question is whether you want to be the one running it every week. Number 4, reference and track record validation. Here's a stat that should bother you. Over half of applicants now get rejected with no human contact at all. Flip that around. If an AI screen is your only gate on the way in, you're blind on the way out too. You're not calling anyone to verify what a candidate actually built. References aren't about character. They were a nice person tells you nothing about whether they'll hit your outcome scorecard. Ask what they actually built. Ask what broke. Ask how they fixed it. Call fast while the reference still remembers specifics. Skip this step and you're trusting a resume and a good interview performance to carry all the weight. That's exactly the gap the AI promised to close, and it's exactly the gap it can't close because nobody's verifying the story. DIY version, call 2 to 3 references within 48 hours of the final interview. Use 4 or 5 pointed questions about outcomes, not personality. Plan for 30 to 45 minutes per candidate. Build a habit of doing it before you extend an offer, not after. The honest friction point, references are slow to call back, and everyone's tempted to skip this step when a candidate looks great on paper. That is doable. The question is whether you want to be the one running it every week. Number 5. Onboarding with a real 30, 60, 90 ramp. Here's the piece almost everyone skips. You did the work to define the role, you tested the skill, you structured the interview, you checked references, then you hand someone a laptop and a login and hope for the best. Set the new hire up to actually win. Track them against the same outcome scorecard from step 1 at 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. Then feed those results back into your hiring process. That's how you learn what predicts success in your specific business, not some generic vendor's model trained on someone else's company. Building this yourself takes a template with milestones at each 30-day mark. Add a short weekly check-in, update your scorecard based on what you observe. Plan a solid day to build the ramp document, then 20 or 30 minutes a week checking in during those first 90 days. The friction point, it's the first thing that gets skipped when things get busy, and it's exactly the thing that closes the loop on everything you built. That is doable. The question is whether you want to be the one running it every week. So look at what you just built, if you did all 5 yourself. A scorecard, a skills test, a structured interview, a reference process, an onboarding ramp. 5 documented systems. Each one needs weekly upkeep. Each one needs to be maintained, refreshed, and run by somebody forever. That's where a VSA changes the equation. A VSA documents your process while doing the actual work. So those 5 systems don't just sit in a folder collecting dust. They get used, updated, and passed on the same way every time. Sulum has placed them across 40+ industries. It runs at roughly half the cost of hiring in-house for the same role. Bring one in, and instead of maintaining 5 systems solo, they help carry the load with you, week after week. If you're at the point where you know something has to change, book a call. It's free. You talk to someone on my team, not a bot, not a form. You tell them what's going on in your business. They'll be straight with you about whether a VSA makes sense for where you are right now. If it does, you'll hear what that looks like and what it costs. If it doesn't, you'll know that too, and you're not out anything. The link's in the description. Just book it. And if this was useful, hit subscribe. We put out one of these every week. Take care of your systems, and they'll take care of your hires.